with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back, in fact this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor. Oh, shit. Yo, what up, friends? Back at it again another week. Ball and Buds. Yes, we are here for the Professor's Semanalmente. And I am your host, Omar, the Professor Fonseca. As you see, we're a little light today on the background. I appreciate everybody tuning in on Instagram. My brother Amul, I appreciate you, sir. Oh, look at Miss K tuning in. Appreciate you watching as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, this is my weekly news headline show, sports, entertainment, U.S. news, world news, and so we are going to do it per the usual. A little late today, but actually I think I may actually do this later time from now on, because last week we had about a few hundred viewers, which is more than usual, but definitely more on the live as well. I didn't think y'all would want to watch me so late since y'all got y'all primetime shows, but it turns out that's untrue. It turns out the later I got more viewers. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens again this week. So again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Please make sure you hit that like button, whether you're watching now or on the replay. It helps us out in the algorithm, gets us out to more people here at Ball and Buds. Obviously, Ball and Buds, very important to us here. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well, please, or follow on Instagram. There's that handy QR code up top. It'll take you to all those places where you can subscribe, follow, so on and so forth. One programming note this week, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will have our Major League Baseball episode for Banter, Brawls, and Bravado. So we'll go over the Hall of Fame, the post-trade deadline, and the last month of the season. Speaking of tonight, yes, I will be talking some sports. We're going to go through Major League Baseball. We're going to go through the Hall of Fame. We're also going to go through some of the scandals going on in baseball right now as well. We're going to talk a little MLS and how they suspended Lionel Messi. We'll talk some Tour de France. We'll talk some NASCAR. We'll talk some soccer. We will talk it all. And then we'll get into some entertainment. We're going to talk the Fantastic Four new movie. We're going to talk the data breach on the Spilling the Tea app. We're going to talk Astronomer and Gweneth Paltrow's PR stunt. And we will also talk Beyonce and Destiny's Child reuniting. Yes, you get it all. You get the diverse news from the Professor. I talk about everything. Y'all know I know everything. Come on now. All right, there we go. It's working on YouTube. We'll also get into our U.S. news. We got to talk about the Epstein list. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. You got my thoughts before I went on vacation. I haven't done the U.S. world news in a couple weeks, so we will talk that. We'll also talk world news, Israel, Iran. We'll talk the Gaza humanitarian crisis. We have a jam-packed episode. Hopefully keep it to just an hour and a half for you this evening. Awesome. All right, cool. Let's see what we got. More comments. Let's go. Have a good show. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Lighter background better? Yeah, I don't know about that. I like all my accoutrements that I usually have in the background. But, I am moving right now. So I'm actually going to be moving apartments coming up this. Oh, my chat's not working for some reason, so I can only see you if you're in Instagram right now. I'm moving apartments this week. I'm moving from the 21st floor to the 28th floor, moving on up like the Jeffersons. Moving on up. I can't do that because I don't want to get copyrighted. But moving up to the 28th floor, it's going to be beautiful, downsizing to a studio. I don't need as much anymore. Plus, I'm traveling a lot now, so I'm throwing away a bunch of stuff. And if you see my apartment, it's pretty much empty right now. But I got to be out by Saturday, move into my new one on Sunday. Going to go sleep in the field Saturday night, or at least that's what my mom assumes. And she's like, why don't you just go to a hotel there? She's like, where are you going to sleep? I'm like, Mom, it's one night. I have plenty of friends if I need to go to somebody's house. Anyways, mothers will be as mothers will be. We love them very, very much. And let's see, prayers up to the Long family. Hey, I like to be suited up when I do my news. Amul says I'm suited up like I got a reservation at the Oriental. I got invited to the Four Seasons earlier, so I might go sit down there. You never know. We'll see what happens. Cover Ichiro trolling the Marlins. We're definitely going to do that. Hall of Fame is the first topic coming right up. DeBarry Elcastle says, Happy Gilmore movie. Yes. I brought it up last week, told everybody it was coming out. I have not watched it yet. Yes, I know. I'm disappointed in myself as well. But I've been moving all weekend, as you know. So I haven't had time to watch Happy Gilmore 2 yet. But I will. But it is apparently, I heard, very good on the nostalgia. Let's see. Hope you got a good water heater. We'll see. Hopefully so. Look up at the stars, bring a camera or a telescope. What's happening tonight, brother? Tell me what's going on in the space world tonight. Is there going to be an aurora borealis? Huh? Something like that. By the way, my hair just was not cooperating, so I'm going to put it up. And actually, I might take this hat off because my hair just did not want to cooperate out of the shower. So we're just going to have to let that be as it bees. One more note here and bow. All right, cool. Again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Professor Semanalmente. I am your host, Omar, the Professor Fonseca. And I thank you all for tuning in. Let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. All right, cool. So again, I don't have comments, unfortunately. The comments are not working here in my Restream. And that's all right, because this will be the last I'm on Restream, by the way. Going back to StreamYard. They had a 40% summer sale, and they got me. So I'm going back to StreamYard. But anyways, all right, if you have a comment and for some reason I don't read it, just let me know. Well, I guess you couldn't let me know. But if you're on Instagram, at least I can see your comments. Cool. All right, let's do it. First off, in the sports world, yes, we had our baseball Hall of Fame announcements today. Who was inducted into the Hall of Fame? Look at that beautiful panel of inductees. So, Hall of Fame, obviously very important in any sport, but very important in baseball because there is a line of demarcation that also tends to lend itself to a lot of controversy. Who deserves to be in, who doesn't, who's on the Hall of Really Good or the Hall of Great versus who should actually be in the Hall of Fame. And then especially with baseball, you also have the issues that you deal with, things like steroids and the Black Sox scandal, betting on sports, which we'll talk about a little more at MLB today here in just a second. But so it's a conundrum when you talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame and who belongs in and who does not belong in. But I can say for sure that all of these people that were elected today to the Hall of Fame deserved to be elected. Let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, let's start from left to right on your screen. Let's see. Start to left on your screen. So first of all, we have Mr. Billy Wagner all the way on your left. Hey, he's a Met. He's a Met, baby. Now, he was a Philly for like 15 years before that, so that does hurt my heart. But he was a Met after that, so I got to give him some props. But yeah, Billy Wagner, only the 7th reliever inducted into the Hall of Fame. The relievers are not starting pitchers. They're the ones that come in to back up the starting pitchers, for those of you that may not be in tuned to the baseball parlance. Billy Wagner got in with the 83% vote, although it took him 10 years. And that's because although he was a great closer, he wasn't as great as a Mariano Rivera or a Trevor Hoffman or a Lee Smith. He was also very overlooked because of his shorter stature, but he combined the highest strikeout rate of any pitcher with at least 900 innings at 33.2%, and his .186, opponent average ranks as the lowest in the modern era. Plus his 2.31 ERA and .998 WHIP are both best for the southpaw in the live ball era. So salute to Billy Wagner. Then we move on to the best of the bunch, Mr. Ichiro Suzuki. You see him there second from the left. He is by far the class of this class, no pun intended. He was one of the greater players in baseball history. I know a lot of people think that just because he was a base, on base hitter, and what I mean by that is trying to get singles, doubles, triples, things like that, rather than a power hitter or anything like that. That kind of brought him down, but I think that just makes him even greater. To me, well, I already know. One of the hardest things to do in sports is hit a baseball. First of all, you have to have the proper hand-eye coordination in order to hit a baseball. But also, even the best only succeed 30% of the time, 3 out of every 10. And that's the best. So if you hit 300, you are part of the best. And Ichiro is there. So you got to definitely understand that he is one of the top. And he proved it. 311 average. That's over 300 for his career. That is crazy. 500 steals on top of it. Plus, he had 2,000 hits in Japan. So he had over 2,000 hits in Japan. Let me get my notes here 1 second. He had 2,760. Hold on. Is it 2,000? Where did it go? I lost it. 2,763, I believe it was. Yeah. And then 1,000. Let's see. And then he had 4,367 total hits. So 4,367 total. That's Japan and the United States combined. But he had over 4. So basically around what our hit king Pete Rose had, except obviously Pete Rose did it all here in America. Still very, very, very impressive. Another note. Exactly 2 hitters ever got 3,000 hits after age of 26. And they were both the aforementioned Pete Rose and Ichiro Suzuki. Wow. So that's a list. So even after age 26, he still got 3,000 hits here in the United States. You got to give it to him. He is an absolute legend. Next up on the rotation, we've got CC Sabathia, who has, by the way, slimmed down tremendously. This man lost a lot of weight. So good for him. It looks like he shed about 100 pounds there. I really wish my chat was working. That's very upsetting. But anyways, it looks like he lost about 100 pounds there. But CC Sabathia, even though he was a Yankee and I hate the Skankies, he was amazing. 86.8%. And he was obviously, did not have to wait like a Billy Wagner. He, as Ichiro, both first ballot Hall of Famers. When you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, that means you are among the best of the best, at least in your era, but definitely, usually, of all time. Now, Ichiro would classify all time. Sabathia would definitely classify, probably not all time, but definitely of his era. Sabathia had 251 wins, so he didn't cross that 300-win threshold that used to be the status quo for Hall of Famers. No longer, since we're never going to see that again with all the pitchers going less and less innings and wins not being as important of a statistic. That's going to the wayside. We may only see 200 wins from pitchers in the future. But along the way, he had a 61.8 WAR. WAR is the WAR is wins above replacement, which basically in baseball is a stat that tells you if you compare him to an average replacement player, just a regular average baseline player, over his career, he would contribute 62 more wins over his career than the average player. Now, that's great. even the legends of the game, the Babe Ruths otherwise, only get to 125, 130-ish, 150, around there. I think 130 or 40 is like the most WAR ever. I don't actually know the number. It's something I probably should know. But he did have 3,000 strikeouts, 3,093 to be exact. And again, he was just a great pitcher. He was AL Cy Young in 2007 and was top 5 times. He was just great in his era among those pitchers. Next up, you see we have representing Dick Allen. This is, I believe, his wife. I apologize. I don't know if it is his wife, or I believe it's his wife or his daughter. But Dick Allen was a great player. He played a long time ago, back in the 50s and 60s. But he was a really good player, and he got voted in by the veteran committee. So it wasn't on the regular ballot, but still commendable because he did make so much of an impact. He played with a few different teams over his career. But yeah, really good player. And then finally, you have Dave Parker's son. So Dave Parker, an A's. So if D. Cleasy is watching, the A's fan, he was an Oakland Athletic, a great Oakland Athletic. Also voted in by the Veterans Committee, but better late than never is what the cliche is, right? So again, salute to all of these gentlemen for getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Just an amazing career for all of them, and especially the great Ichiro Suzuki. All right, moving on. In other baseball news, there is a betting scandal going on, as well as an agent scandal going on. So what's happening? The Cleveland Guardians today placed their second best player, closer Emmanuel Clase, on paid leave through August 31st, while the MLB, Major League Baseball, investigates his alleged involvement in illegal sports betting. This comes after his teammate, Luis Ortiz, was suspended a few weeks ago. Wow, this is only going to explode from here. Two teammates on the same team. Could turn into a spider web of a case that could be very, very crestfallen to the MLB when it comes down to it. But as we talked about on this show plenty of times before, with sports gambling intertwined with the leagues themselves, you're going to have these issues where you have players, coaches, otherwise, that are betting on games, even if you don't want them to, and even if you make it illegal. See the aforementioned Pete Rose again. That's a third Pete Rose mentioned today. If I was doing a monologue on a late night TV show, that would be what's called a callback. All right, what about the agent scandal? The Major League Baseball PA agent misconduct probe, Johan Rojas case. The Major League Baseball Players Association is investigating former agent Yasser Mendez after Phillies outfielder Johan Rojas accused him of pressuring players into signing exploitative contracts tied to Mendez's baseball academy. Rojas claims to have borrowed $875,000 and agreed to pay back a large share of his MLB salary. So just to let you know a little bit more into this, because I did find out about this a few weeks ago, so I know a little bit more about it. What happened here is the agent had a baseball academy, which apparently he did, but he would get these players to invest in it by borrowing off of their future major league salaries to give him money to invest into the baseball academy, which, as you can see with my air quotes, he didn't really spend on the baseball academy. Or maybe he just didn't spend all of it. I don't know the exact specifics, but I do know that they are now charging him in two different player situations. So we'll keep you updated there as well. I apologize, everybody, that I cannot see your comments. That really sucks. I really am very upset that these comments are not working today. I'm going to try to stay updated. I'm going to bring up YouTube and Facebook on my phone, on my computer, so I can see just in case. But we got to keep it moving. Anyways, so with these cases, they're going to do the investigation. They're going to find out that this money was given to this agent. They're going to find out what the agent did with the money and if it was appropriated use of the funds. If not, he is going to get in trouble and probably lose his license. Moving on, salary cap talk. Rob Manfred continues to push for a league salary cap in Major League Baseball, even establishing a players committee, a elder players committee. So basically a veteran like CC Sabathia or some like an Ichiro, not that they're on there, they're not. I know Dexter Fowler is one and a couple others, but they're going to be ambassadors. I think actually CC Sabathia is on there. Anyways, they're going to be ambassadors for the league. Well, the Major League Baseball Players Association is not very happy with this and told them to stay away from CBA salary cap negotiations and or talks. So we'll keep you updated there. Obviously, Major League Baseball, the only sport without a salary cap. So in order for them to institute a salary cap would take a whole lot just because of the fact that it hasn't been instituted ever. So why would the players or really the owners have to pay more in the long run? But the owners like it too because the richer owners like the Yankees and the Mets and I'm not mad can buy more players. But the lower teams don't like that. But also the other thing is in baseball, the lower level teams, the lower income teams don't ever spend money anyways. When do the Marlins or the Rays or the Pirates spend money anyways or the A's? No, get the hell out of here. Let my team win some games. What? No, goodbye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be. I was trying to think of the one from Friday. Bye, Felicia. All right, anyways. Oh, salute, my brother, Skywalker Boxeo. Y'all make sure you top in with Skywalker Boxing Media on YouTube, Instagram, Skywalker Boxeo on Facebook. That is my partner in the boxing world. Shout out my boy T-Roy. Topics on topics on topics on topics on topics. You know we get it in, brother. I'm spitting all day, every day for you and the crew. I will educate you, my brother. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Everybody make sure you subscribe at Ballin' Buds, BALLAND BUDS on YouTube. Please subscribe. It helps us out there. The algorithm. Also make sure you hit that like button, whether you're watching now or on the replay. Shout out to my producer letting me know the sound is good. I appreciate it. Let's catch up on some Instagram comments here. Barry Earlcastle says, South Park, haven't seen that either. You said you were going to watch that the other day, but you also had a busy weekend, I know. So we'll both have to check it out later and let each other know what we think. Amul says, Mars is close to the moon, but that last comment was if you're sleeping in a field. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, if I'm sleeping in the field. I may go on a sleeping bag just to make my mom. Never mind. Oh, and the moon mammoths, please. Oliver is a genius. I think you're talking John Oliver. I haven't watched the new episode, so I'm going to check that out. All right, cool. Moving on from baseball into the soccer world. Yes, MLS has gone ahead and suspended Lionel Messi and Jorge Alba have both been suspended. So what happened? What is the deal? Well, the Major League Soccer chief came out and broke his silence and said that because Lionel Messi and his teammate Jordi Alba did not play on the MLS All-Star game against the Liga MX All-Stars, which they were both chosen to lead, they were ruled out of their next game. So they've both been suspended from their next Inter Miami, not Inter Milan, Inter Miami game. They are suspended for because they sat out of the All-Star game. Obviously, again, All-Star games are very, very important to these leagues, and the leagues want their best players to participate. If Lionel Messi is going to come to the MLS, and the whole point of the MLS bringing Lionel Messi in was to up their stature, up their ratings, up their profile, then you're damn right they're going to want him at the All-Star game. Why the hell wouldn't you be at the All-Star game if you are Lionel Messi? And I love Lionel Messi. I don't even really, soccer's great. I like soccer. It's a great sport. It's not my top. It's not above football, baseball, basketball, or hockey, but I like soccer. But Messi is one of my favorite soccer players because of his greatness. But bruh, or as they say in the UK, bruv. I don't know how they say it in South America. Brother, you got to participate. You got to. You can't just sit out. And even if you were to sit out, you at least have to be a major face. I mean, even Caitlin Clark did this last week, and we talked about it. If you're going to be a face of the league, you got to be out and in front of everything, no matter what. Even if you're hurt, you can't play, you at least need to be right there on the sideline with your face in the camera every 2 seconds. He did not do that here. They have both been suspended. Obviously, it's not going to be for long. They need them to make money, right? So they're going to want them to come back in. So I don't expect that it's going to be more than a day after that, but we'll see what happens. Yay, not that they were suspended, but talking about it. Yeah, I got you. I understand. All right, cool. So with that story, we'll keep it moving on. Next up, we got a couple huge wins this past weekend. So here you see it on the slide. First of all, we will start with the Tour de France. Yes, bicycling. Yes, you're like, what? Bicycling, Omar? Yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing the show long enough to cover a Tour de France yet. That doesn't mean we weren't going to cover it. I cover everything on this show, no matter what. You know we're about to cover Beyonce. I'm not even a Beyonce fan. Don't come get me, Beehive. Tadej Pogačar wins the Tour de France. The Slovenian cyclist claimed his fourth Tour de France title, defeating defending champion Jonas Vingegaard. Oh, that was a good pronounce. Look at that. That's my German coming out. I was born in Germany, for y'all that don't know. Frankfurt, Germany to be exact, so I could be considered German. And I just spit a little German there for you. Pogačar in line for his fourth Tour win. So he unseated the defending champion. He even survived a very bad last stage and entered the final day with a pretty hefty lead because the former champion did falter so much. So again, salute to Slovenian cyclist Tadej Pogačar, beating the defending champion and taking home his fourth Tour de France win in Paris. All right, moving on. In the middle, you see Bubba Wallace won the Brickyard 400 in NASCAR. He becomes the first black driver to win a major race on the Indianapolis Oval. Salute to him for that. He climbed out, pumped his fist, and deserved every minute of it. The 31-year-old overcame a tenuous 18-minute rain delay and 2 overtimes, plus fears of running out of fuel late, and defending race champion Kyle Larson on his back in the restart. He was still able to complete the victory, his third NASCAR Cup victory, and his first victory in one of the Series 4 Crown Jewel events. Yes, the Brickyard 400, the Coca-Cola 600, the Southern 500, and obviously the Daytona 500. Those are NASCAR's 4 main races. So we will see what happens as we get closer to the playoffs coming up. Obviously, NASCAR is now in a playoff format. They go into the October-November time frame, and they have 12 drivers is how their playoffs are, and the top 12 drivers in the rankings are then set. This I don't really like about NASCAR, but I guess it's kind of fair, I guess, but I don't know. I don't think so. They do it in golf too, but they stagger them by points. So the top in the rankings will have this, and then the other guy will be this many points behind it. So it kind of makes sense and balance of fairness, but at the same time, it's like, well, no, not necessarily, because, yeah, there is certain formulas that you adjudicate those certain points behind or percentages behind, but they're not always on exact point. And there's some times where you're penalized for certain things during the season or whatever. And I don't know. I get it in terms of fairness, but I think that it needs to be more transparent, maybe, because I know that if it's hard for me to understand, and I consider myself to be a pretty smart person, then I would say, and this is no hate, please don't hate me, NASCAR fans, but I would say it's probably going to be maybe a little harder for them to understand. Please don't cancel me for that, and please don't shoot back in the comments, NASCAR fans. I love y'all. All right, cool. Anyways, let me move on before I get banned and canceled in the comments. England, yes, the England women win the 2025 UEFA Women's Euro Cup. England defeated Spain. It was 1-1. They went into overtime and then went into a dramatic shootout that England won 3-1 to give them their second UEFA Cup, Euro Cup in the past 10 years. So shout out there to the England women. What a great victory for them. And now we are looking towards the World Cup next year. I'm super excited. So as I said, I do like soccer. It's one of my, I love every sport, so that doesn't really matter. So I do like soccer, but I especially love the World Cup. World Cup is an amazing tournament, an amazing time. It's coming here next year. I'm actually going to plan to go watch a couple games. I may even try to go. I think they have a game or two in Atlanta, so I may go down there, or in New Orleans, one of the two. I definitely want to check that out. I think that's definitely an experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, obviously, since you never know when it's going to come back to the United States in the future, although I would hope I wouldn't, be dead in the next 20-some years that it usually takes to rotate between continents. It probably wouldn't even be 20. It'd probably be like 12. But still, anyways, I don't know. That was kind of very sadomasochistic there. What a great word for a Puerto Rican on a live TV show. But anyways, all right, let's keep it moving. We got our mixed bag, so we can run through the rest of our sports topics. First of all, wow, I don't know what I was about to say there. Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, who won the home run derby at last week's All-Star game, hit his league-leading 40th home run of the season the other night. Wow, I told you he's going to get to 60. I think he's going to get there. Only needs 20 home runs left, and he still has 2 whole months. Other baseball news, Yankee star Aaron Judge has a flexor elbow strain that will send him to the injured list. He is expected to be back this season. I am a Yankee hater as a Mets fan, but obviously you don't want to see great players hurt, and Aaron Judge is one of the greatest we've seen in our era, in this era. Other baseball news, a Venezuelan youth baseball team will not participate in the Senior League World Series because it was denied travel visas to the United States. I don't think I have to clarify that for you any further. We've talked enough about mass deportations on this program. We've talked enough about ICE on this program. We've talked enough about other things on this program where you can probably assume that that would be the reason why. Now, we will keep you updated. It is a youth baseball team. These are kids. So you have to assume that something will be worked out in the end. But as of now, a Venezuelan, high school baseball team will not be allowed to come participate in the World Series of Baseball because of, I don't think I really need to explain. All right, moving on. If I do, you clearly have not watched this show enough. And if you have not, then I just go back and watch episodes. We talk about it all the time on here. We know that there is mass deportations going on in this country. We know that ICE is participating in some raids that are many of them despicable in terms of raiding people's workplaces, churches, things like that. We've talked about it before. It's one thing to get criminals out of the country. We definitely want all criminals out of the country. We can all agree on that. It's another thing to take a mother and her child out of a church. But again, not going to get into that right now. We're not even talking immigration today, and I'm glad because we talked about that for like 6 weeks in a row there. So I'm glad we're taking a week off from that, but I'm sure more to come. In health news, Kansas University's Bill Self, his basketball coach, released from the hospital yesterday following a heart procedure. Prayers up to him, as well as prayers up to Colorado's Deion Sanders, who as well returned to a campus after an unspecified issue, which actually turned out today to be cancer. So he is battling apparently bladder cancer, is what. So I guess that's prostate cancer. I'm not exactly sure, but prayers up to both of them for a full and quick recovery. Finally, in one other news, I forgot about this soccer news, or two other pieces of news. Nigeria in women's soccer, I forgot to mention this earlier in our women's soccer news, rallied from 2 goals down to beat Morocco 3-2 for its 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations soccer title. So shout out to Nigeria there. And finally, you know what? No, that is our final note of sports. This is actually an entertainment note that was in the wrong section. So we're going to have to move that down into the entertainment world, and then we'll keep it moving. Cool. Let me put that right here below the Harvard versus federal government trial. Yes, we will be talking about Harvard and what is going on over there in just a couple more. Why are you doing that to me? I don't understand why you want to mess with me like that. That's fine. That's okay. You can do that, but just okay. You know what? You want to play games? That's cool. My document is currently messing with me, not wanting me to allow to put that in there. So, anyways, that was your sports professor's mixed bag. All right, cool. It's not the bottom line sports. Hey, sometimes you just gotta take it back. All right, y'all. Make sure you subscribe at Ballin' Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe as well. You can follow on Instagram. Hit that handy QR code up top there. It will take you to our link tree where you can find all of that goodness. Cool. All right. Let's catch up on some comments here really quick and see what we got going on. We're good. Caught up there. Caught up there. And here we go. Let's see. Instagram, what we got? I don't get it either. Yep. Oh, thank you, Barry L. Castle. Yes, ATL, they will be having a game. Awesome. Ha! And look at that. Might just have to pay someone a visit to go see a World Cup game. Huh? Wink. Not so subtle. Shout out to who I'm talking to right now. Also, blowhard. That's why. Got it. Agreed. Blowhard, blustering, strong man, as we say sometimes. A lot of words we use on this program, but we also show respect as much. So, anyways, we keep it moving. All right, let's move into the entertainment world. Yes, what do we got going on? Well, first of all, you know that we have to bring you the RIP, rest in peace, to Hulk Hogan, aka Terry Bollea. Now, another controversial subject here. I get it, but I am going to give a rest on the show to everyone I feel like I think deserves it. And just like we gave one to Malcolm Jamal Warner and Ozzy Osbourne last week, I don't pretend to care about the things that Ozzy had in his background. I'm sure and whatever. I still gave him a rest in peace as is deserved. So fine. Some people don't like Hulk Hogan for his actions. There is also forgiveness in this life as well. Actually, I urge you to go check out the new video I released on YouTube. It's a tribute video. It's myself and my brother Steve Pitcher, who is the biggest Hulk Hogan Hulkamania fan I know. Even has Hulk Hogan tattooed on his body. So that's how I know he's the biggest Hulk Hogan fan. He's met him plenty of times. Anyway, go check out the video. I give the background on Hogan. He goes into the personal effects. It is a wonderful 3-minute video. I sincerely suggest you check it out. But yeah, he did have some controversy in his background. Sure, we get that. He did have, obviously, the Gawker sex tape controversy, as well as being caught being racist towards black people on the recording. Obviously, none of those things are proper. None of those things are good. None of those things are okay. They're completely reprehensible and uncalled for. And even Shane Peacher said that. So when you're looking at that portion of it, yes, we recognize that. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. At the same time, forgiveness is necessary for everyone. I forgave him. I know I know plenty of people who have forgiven him. Actually, easy story there. After that happened, Clubber D and I went and met Hulk Hogan down in Tampa, and they actually had a conversation. And Hulk basically, essentially, not apologizing, but giving a hey kind of thing. And Clubber D had forgiven him, and that is the essential thing. When you forgive in this life, you take the hurt off of your son. Now, again, not excusing what he did; it's not excuse of all, completely reprehensible. But again, we must learn to forgive everyone who hurts us in our life. Now, that being said, when you're not looking at that part of it, when you're looking at the actual performer, the entertainer, Mr. Hulk Hogan, he was pro wrestling personified. And me, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was a huge professional wrestling fan. I, just like Shane, would get all the pay per views every month and watch all the wrestling I could. And it was tremendous and it was great. And Hulk Hogan was one of those main people, actually, the main protagonist in the 80s and 90s. He was what brought wrestling to the mainstream. He became a global pop culture symbol, icon, and hero for some. He was a two-time WWE Hall of Famer, a 12-time champion if you count WWE and WCW World Championship Wrestling, who they brought out. And he is also in the PW or Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan is professional, was professional wrestling for a long period of time, and is and was the face of what brought professional wrestling to the mainstream. So, as someone who does and did love professional wrestling so much, I have to give him his props for bringing to the mainstream one of my favorite things that I've ever had in my whole entire life. So, that being said, we do acknowledge the things that are done wrong by people here on this program all the time, but we also forgive on this program, and we also acknowledge the good that people bring. And sometimes, even if you don't believe it, entertainment is a good thing. I'm bringing you entertainment right now. Hopefully, you are enjoying it. When I was a kid, he brought me immense entertainment for a long, long period of time. That being said, rest in peace to, as Shane said, the greatest face in professional wrestling of all time. Very true. And one of the top five heels of all time in professional wrestling. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. All right, moving on. Fantastic Four. Woo, the movie broke the Marvel slump. Am I breaking up? Uh oh. There's a little breakup happening here. Let me see. Let me see what we got going on. Want to make sure we are not breaking up. Let me know if I sound any better now. Do I sound better now? The Barry Castle. I appreciate you letting me know that I was breaking up there for a second. How do I sound now? Him and Ric Flair. Yep. And if you've watched my content before, and I know you're just getting tuned in, but Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler of all time. Yes, Hulk Hogan was the greatest personality in wrestling history in terms of bringing wrestling to the mainstream, but Ric Flair was right behind him. The unfortunate part was he was with World Championship Wrestling and NWA, which had a lot less visibility than WWF at the time did. That being said, no doubt Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler of all time, 16-time world champion. Not only was he the greatest in-ring performer, but he was also the greatest on the mic, or one of the greatest on the mic, and was one of the greatest sellers, was one of the greatest, all around. Ric Flair is, in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler of all time when you take everything into account. But Hulk Hogan was the number one personality in professional wrestling ever. That's for sure. Oh, look, with my WWE cup, too. Look at that. John Cena's on his final run here. No, I'm not a nerd, so I'm going to stop showing that, but handy cup. All right. I don't know why I did that. All right, anyways, let's keep it moving here. I'm assuming since you didn't say anything that the sound is still good. So, Fantastic Four broke the Marvel slump. It grossed $218 million in its opening weekend, including $118 million in the United States, becoming the biggest Marvel hit since Deadpool and Wolverine. The Marvel movies that have come out this year have flopped thus far. Heard? All right, cool. So we're good now. Thank you. Appreciate that. The movies that have come out from Marvel this year have flopped. So the Fantastic Four breaking that slump is very good for them. Now you will be looking forward towards this weekend where we're actually going to have another sequel coming out. Now, you know I talked about Happy Gilmore 2 last weekend. We have another one coming out this time. Barry Castle, I know you'll like this. And all of you people maybe around my age or even older, since this guy is much older than me, and these movies were made in the 80s. Actually, I think the first movie of this might have been made in the late 70s or early 80s, even before maybe I was born. I'm not sure, though. Liam Neeson reboots The Naked Gun. Yes, if you have not seen The Naked Gun, this is a series of movies, a series of comedies that, and I really want to find, not comedies, I guess kind of it's an action, it's a police kind of, okay, so hopefully it'll be a comedy, because obviously Liam Neeson, right, is not Frank Drescher, right? He's not the original, right? It's going to be hard. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Liam Neeson is not Leslie Nielsen. It's two different people. I'm very, as I said, I think Happy Gilmore was going to be good because of the nostalgia and because it had the same cast, pretty much. Adam Sandler and a bunch. I don't know. I don't know, Barry Castle. I know you're yaying it with your parodies. I don't know. I'm concerned about this one. I am concerned. This was one of my go-to favorite movies back in the day when I was a kid. Slapstick comedy. I don't know. Liam Neeson he's an action actor. What do we? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We will see what happens. I will keep you updated. I'm not going to go into the theaters and see it, so I'll keep you updated whenever I see it down the line. But I'm up in the air about that one. I really, really am. All right, let's move it on. Into other news from last week, updating you on the Coldplay Kiss Cam scandal. We all know what happens. We talked about it last week. The CEO, his CPO, they're out there hugging up on each other like they're at the prom. And they got caught. They got caught on camera. His whole life is done. He's lost half of his money, billions, millions. His wife and 3 kids are gone. His life is over. We don't take any pride or fun in that. It was a stupid decision on him, but hey, we're not here to harp on him anymore. What we are here to talk about is the hilarious tongue-in-cheek video that Astronomer put out today. So Astronomer is the company where the CEO worked at, and they put out a video today with the help of one Gweneth Paltrow, famous actress, that I'll just let them show. Let me show you what they did for themselves. Hold on one second. Let me actually, you know what? Let me turn it to this screen because that one has too much stuff on it. Let's go there and go here. Boom. All right. Let me go ahead and play this for you, and y'all check it out. Oops. Wait a second. You can't do that if I hadn't shared it yet, could you? Screen share. Let's go. Boom. Okay. Got that there? No? Oh, I see what's happening. Because it's being shared on this screen. Well, then let's do that. And then let's go there. And then let's go here. And then we go here. And then we go there. Okay. Now, apparently, happened. It's not working. Work on the other screen. Hold on. Technical difficulty. Be with you in 1 second, please. Why are you not working when you want to?
Very temporary basis to speak on behalf of the 300 plus employees
There
at
we
Astronomer.
go.
Astronomer has gotten a lot of questions over the last few days,
Started.
and they
Well done, missed it.
thank you for your interest in Astronomer. Hi, I'm Gweneth Paltrow. I've been hired on a very temporary basis to speak on behalf of the 300 plus employees at Astronomer. Astronomer has gotten a lot of questions over the last few days, and they wanted me to answer the most common ones. Yes, Astronomer is the best place to run Apache Airflow, unifying the experience of running data, ML, and AI pipelines at scale. We've been thrilled so many people have a newfound interest in data workflow automation. As for the other questions we've received, yes, there is still room available at our Beyond Analytics event in September. We will now be returning to what we do best, delivering game-changing results for our customers. Thank you for your interest in Astronomer.
Oh my God. Now that is tremendous. That is tremendous. Tongue in cheek, make fun of yourself. This is what you do. As a marketer, as a marketing consultant, everyone out there, listen up. Here's some free advice that I usually charge $100 an hour for. Please take advantage of situations that do not cripple your company completely. Yes, there are PR nightmares, crises that happens that completely devastate companies. But if you have a social media team and a crisis management plan, and your social media team knows how to execute that crisis management plan, which every business should have, you're going to know how to handle things when they happen like this. And if you do, your social media team will know how to respond to these sorts of things online, as well as then retort with something as beautiful as that. And how about going out and getting Gwyneth Paltrow, who, by the way, is Chris Martin from Coldplay's ex? That is tremendous to complete the whole spiderweb circle, full circle transformation. That's a chef's kiss to Astronomer. You could have done no better than get Gwyneth Paltrow in that situation. So shout out to them. But I thought that was pretty funny and hope you enjoyed that as well. Moving on, in other entertainment news, let's get back into our slides here. Destiny's Child reunited in Las Vegas for Beyonce's final Cowboy Carter concert series show. Wow. Say that 5 times fast. Holy cannolis. Beyonce's Cowboy Carter concert series show. Beyonce's Cowboy Carter concert series show. Cowboy Carter concert city. Cowboy Carter concert city. Cowboy Carter concert series show. Whew, there we go. Only took a couple seconds there. That was pretty fun, actually. But anyways, Beyonce finishing off her Cowboy Carter concert series with a show that featured Destiny's Child coming out at the end. Who's Destiny's Child, you ask? I don't know why you would be watching the show if you're 12 years old or 10 years old, but if you are watching this and you're a kid, you probably don't even know who Destiny's Child is. They are Beyonce's original group. Before Beyonce went solo back in the early 2000s, she was in a group called Destiny's Child with 2 other girls. One, which went on to become, she was, I guess you could say she was semi-famous. The other one I don't think she really became anything as a singer in the future. I'm trying to think. I know Kelly Rowland was pretty good there. She had a couple albums that kind of popped. Michelle Williams, I think she did like a jazz album. Someone help me out here. I don't know that Michelle Williams popped as much. Well, neither one popped as much as Beyonce, though. But either way, for you youngsters, Destiny's Child was a group that Beyonce started in before she became super famous and left them. That's what happens. Usually in groups like these, youngsters kids watching, there's usually someone who stands out among the group. There's usually one performer that's better than the rest. And they usually go on and go solo at some point in time because they feel like their talents are being held back by the others that, just aren't up to par. It happens in music, and especially with older bands and like rock bands and things like that. So, anyways, in other Beyonce news, President Donald Trump has decided to call for Beyonce and Oprah to be prosecuted for receiving illegal payments off of endorsing Kamala Harris. Okay, this is fake news. This is fake news. This didn't happen. Yes, she was paid, not $11 million like President Trump claims. She was paid because the Harris campaign had to pay all appearance fees or endorsement fees for the people, but that's all that they were paid. And it was, I think it was like $65,000, or maybe it was like something like that, 165, something like that. So, but anyways, the fact that he is using Beyonce, among other people, to dissuade from the Jeffrey Epstein files that we'll get into in just a second, is just getting way out of hand now. It was one thing to go to Obama, but now we've reached all the way so far that we're trying to sue Beyonce, Oprah, and Al Sharpton. Like, come on now, bruv. What we doing, bruv? All right. How about this data breach that hit the T dating app? What? You say, what's the T dating app? Oh, well, let me tell y'all, players, if you are a player, maybe you did not know that there are ladies out there that are talking about you behind your back. They are going online and they are telling your secrets. They are telling who you are. They are telling other women to avoid you. So on this dating tea app, they literally spill the tea on ex-boyfriends, other things. And then, this is kind of, it's kind of messed up, to be honest. So they include the images of the guys too. So it's kind of like, now, look, I am not here to say that guys do not do similar messed up things, because they do. A lot of times when there are sex videotapes that come out, those are the guys' fault. So we know that these things happen. But just like, I don't think there's well, let me take that back. I don't know necessarily that there's an equivalent men's site of this, but I do know there are Facebook groups, because somehow, I don't even know how, but somehow I got into a Facebook group of Nashville guys that talk about their exes. So whatever, weird. But it is funny. It's the only reason I stayed in, because the memes and shit are hilarious. Neither here nor there. Allows women to review and background check men they date. Experienced a significant data breach that comprised sensitive information, including images, selfies, posts, comments, direct messages, and otherwise. So not only is this a data breach that could affect the women that are on there, but it also could have been in effect, right, hurting the men who were talked about on there as well. So we'll keep you updated on this. This just came out. Not sure what's going to come of it. Barry Aircastle on Instagram. How much do you think she was paid for that? Gweneth? Probably a cool mill. I would say she got at least a cool mill for that 30-second video that she did from home. Probably a mill, I'm saying. $1 million, I would say they paid her for that. All right, cool. Which, hey, by the way, ain't hurting their pockets. They ain't got to pay that CEO down that money anymore. All them bonuses and his stock options are out the window. So they're going to just use that to pay her. Oh, that cracks me up. Oh, man. All right. A couple more notes here in the entertainment world. Let's see. What was my... Nope. All right. A couple more notes in the entertainment world before we get into our U.S. news. Johns Hopkins is licensing their books to AI firms. So Johns Hopkins University Press will license around 150 books annually to train LLMs, aka large language models. Authors will be compensated $100 per license. I have a couple feelings about this story. And I use AI all the time for my job. So y'all know that already. Yeah, I teach AI as well. So y'all know that. I extremely appreciate what AI brings to the table, especially for automation, for making your job easier. You can write whole business plans in 10 minutes with AI. Where it can get off track at is when it is trained using improper information. And that's where you get what happened recently on X, where they had the anti-Semitic things coming from Grok, which is X's AI, because whatever it was being trained on was being fed that anti-Semitic information. Well, while this is good that Johns Hopkins would be donating, because at least their information is at least veritable and we know quality information, right? Because it's a doctorate hospital. We know it's going to be verified information. So that's good that it's being used to train those language models. I'm worried more about the people that are actually possibly do not have the knowledge or capability to be able to train the LLMs with that sort of knowledge or with those sort of books, because they don't personally have the knowledge. I also worry about the authors. Why are they only being compensated $100 per license? I'm sorry. First of all, my book is already in Johns Hopkins University Press, which I should be getting $100 for every damn month or something in royalties. But on top of that, what? Now my shit's going to be used to train the whole world and I'm only getting $100 for this? Nah, man, we got to talk. We got to renegotiate my contract. So, a couple feelings there on that. But I do like that it is at least good information being used to train AI, so that way we don't have to worry as much on that. Two final notes here in the technology world, or one more note in technology world. QR code scams. Hey, my elders, I must respect my elders, and I always do. So I want to make sure I give you some good information for all my elder people out there. Listen up. Turn your hearing aids up a little bit if they are not completely up. Yes, I'm talking to you. QR code scams. Quishing is on the rise. That's what it's called, quishing. Cybersecurity experts are warning about QR code scams. Scammers are slapping their QR codes on all important things, including, like, this is crazy, parking tickets. So they'll slap the QR code on the parking ticket, and because you believe it's obviously legit because it's on a legit parking ticket, it is a fake QR code that was slapped on there for you to take you to a site to take your information, take your credit card, other things. So please, please, please be careful when scanning any QR codes and make sure that they are associated with the company. Usually they have a little name on them or something that will identify that. If not, you can always call and make sure, but you can get into a lot of trouble by scanning a QR code that may take you to the wrong place because you think that you need to do it because it's on an important piece of paperwork, even though it could have just been slapped on there by a scammer. So please be careful. And lastly, in entertainment news, I found this as a cool story going out on the Ozzy Osbourne death that we had last week. But I read in the Nashville newspaper today about a retrospective that explored a notorious alcohol and drug-fueled binge between Ozzy Osbourne and David Lee Roth in Nashville back in the 70s. So this is crazy. Obviously, Ozzy Osbourne obviously passed away last week. Rest in peace to him. He was the lead singer of Black Sabbath. And David Lee Roth was the lead singer of Van Halen. So, in the 70s, late 70s, they were to come to town in Nashville to play at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. So, a couple days before, I believe they were in Birmingham, Alabama. And they were drinking, they were doing drugs and all these things, and decided, we are going to have a competition between me and you, Ozzy Osbourne and David Lee Roth, who can do the most cocaine. So they spent the next week, or I guess few days, whatever it was, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, a day and night, drinking and doing cocaine, seeing who could outlast the other. Eventually, both falling asleep after a few days of no sleep and being up doing drugs and alcohol. Ozzy Osbourne does not end up waking up for his nap until 6 a.m. the next morning, completely sleeping through their show, which ended up having to be canceled after David Lee Roth and Van Halen tried to go as long as possible, thinking that he would show up. He never showed up. I guess Ozzy Osbourne won that battle. But that's just a crazy and hilarious story. Like, they started in another city and ended up missing a show had to cancel a show in this city because of the drug and alcohol fueled binge that they went on. Tremendous 1970s rocker story. I would expect nothing less from rock and roll superstars in that era. That's pretty crazy, wild. But as Rick James said on Dave Chappelle, cocaine is a hell of a drug. So yeah, hey, I guess it makes you do those sorts of things. Not sure. Anyways, moving on. So, U.S. news. Oh, before we get there, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLAND BUDS on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button as well, whether you're watching now or on the replay. Helps us out there in the algorithm. All right, into United States news. First of all, there was earlier today a stabbing at a Michigan Walmart. They have caught the suspect, Bradford Gilley, age 42, arrested after stabbing 11 people at a Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan. He has been charged with terrorism and multiple counts of attempted murder. First of all, prayers up to all of those people who were stabbed, 11 people aging 25 to 65. Apparently, nobody, thankfully, was deceased in this, and they are all expected to recover. So prayers up to them, and happy that they caught that suspect. Moving on into other news, I want to bring up some news from... You know what? We'll save that for last. Actually, no, we're going to go into it before. So President Donald Trump released an executive order this past week. And I'm going to talk about this one because y'all know homelessness is very close to my heart. And I think it's one of the worst problems we have in this country. And we are just exacerbating it by the things that we do to mental health and to homeless people and things like that. And it's my goal in life to help fix homelessness. Well, President Donald Trump issued a new executive order on homelessness that allows forced hospitalizations in order to clear public spaces. The problem with homelessness, y'all, is not that we have a bunch of homeless people. Yeah, we do. In very large part due to mental health, in very large part to the drug epidemic, in very large part to those two things mainly, but other things as well. COVID helped, not helped, but made the problem worse. What does not help is forced hospitalizations. Should there be people that are forced into hospitalizations due to maybe their mental health condition being deteriorated to a point where they can no longer control themselves on the street and are a threat to themselves and to others? Yes, then okay. But this executive order now allows police or others to make that decision on who they believe is in that sort of situation that would deserve this, which kind of harkens back to the ICE deportations and the mass deportations where we're deportating people that don't necessarily need to be deported when we're trying to deport criminals. Now it's like, okay, you're trying to get the the most severe of the homeless and mentally ill people off the street, fine. But then that's when you start taking regular homeless people off the street. And that's not one of the biggest issues. The other biggest issue that I didn't mention earlier is the lack of housing. The lack of housing. We have so many abandoned buildings, so many things that could be turned into housing, so many things that could be, but we don't care in this country because they don't give about homelessness and other things in this country and the mental health epidemic. They act like they care about the fentanyl and drug epidemic, but they don't care about that either. This does not help homelessness. It criminalizes it in a lot of cases. I'm going to do a Mind of the Professor on this. I know I've been talking about that for a long time, how I was going to do one on homelessness and on mass shootings and on police brutality, and I will do one eventually on all three of those. It's taken me a while now that I've been doing this show to actually be able to put in the research necessary for a Mind of the Professor, but I promise I will get into one of those soon enough. But we got to be better in terms of helping out our homeless population and especially our mentally ill population. All right, off my soapbox. Into other Trump administration news. Let's get some things out of the way before we get into the main stories that we know everyone is talking about. Harvard versus the federal government. The Trump administration has cut $2 billion from Harvard for alleged mishandling of campus anti-Semitism. A judge has questioned the constitutionality of terminating funding over a possible rights violation. I know we haven't talked about this yet on this program, so I'm going to give you a little bit of my insight into this. Was there anti-Semitism on campuses last year? Yes. During the Israel and Hamas war and the Palestinians being involved, there was a lot of anti-Semitism on campuses. Does that mean that the campuses necessarily let that happen? Not necessarily. On campuses, you have to allow a freedom of protest. Now, did some campuses last year maybe go a little further with there being sometimes vandalism, sometimes fires, other things like that? Possibly. I am not one to determine that, so I am not going to say so. What I can say, though, is that even if Harvard does have their own funding and they don't really need that money that they get from the government, that money from the government is still going to support those Jewish students and is still going to support Jewish faculty and is still going to support programs that will help Jewish people. So, yeah, you're taking the $2 billion away from the university, but you're taking it away from everybody and all those students and faculty that did nothing wrong in this situation over a few bad actors. That's my issue with this, and I think it should be handled differently. I don't think that universities should be punished because of the fact that there were these protests on campus, because there's always been protests on campus. Plus, that just takes away from the campus being better. Now, I know, obviously, liberal universities, Republican president, there's obviously that, juxtaposition there when you're looking at that situation, but it's still something that it just seems a little over the top for a president to be able to take money away from universities used for research purposes because they have an issue with the way a situation was handled. Now, again, I know some of them did get a little out of control, but I still don't believe that that is a reason that they should be penalized to the point where you're hurting everyone, including the same Jewish people that you're trying to protect. So, anyways, let me know in the comments how you feel about the Harvard case and all the other things we've talked about. I know I should be saying that more. I just wasn't thinking about it. But go ahead and hit that like button as well. Also, Trump has put in an executive order on saving college sports. So, as again mentioned, being a Republican president, Republicans want to help the NCAA in keeping amateurism, while the Democrats would like to make athletes employees. You know how I feel about this situation. I completely despise the NCAA, one of the worst organizations in the history of mankind. Very corrupt. Amateurism is bullshit. These athletes are employees, always have been employees. They're working, and no, a college education is not enough when they have to not only study and go to school, but also, um, have to practice, have to do all of these other things that are involved with being a student athlete. They deserve to be paid so that way they don't have to go work other menial jobs and can focus on not only their education, which apparently is very important, but also the sport that they are being paid to play. All right, moving on into other news, Trump administration news the rest of the time. So first of all, uh, we you can't go anywhere without hearing about the Jeffrey Epstein files. What is going on with the Epstein files? Why haven't they been released? If you're looking at both sides of the coin here, the Republican side, especially the people that are attacking Trump from his own base, are saying we campaigned on this being one of our main issues to release this, to release the JFK files, so on and so forth. We were told Democrats were on this list. We wanted to expose them as such, and all pedophiles, as we do want to do. But then it turned out, well, maybe there's some people on these lists that they didn't want to necessarily be on this list. So then it became a thing, well, oh no, wait, now it's the Democrats that don't want to necessarily release the list because they have nothing to release. Let's go ahead and talk about exactly what's become of this in the past week. So the DOJ denied the existence of a Jeffrey Epstein client list, contradicting Elon Musk, who we'll get into a little bit, his claims. Donald Trump has criticized the pursuit of the Epstein documents as a hoax, as he is wont to do. He calls everything that's against him a hoax. We know that. DOJ prosecutor Maureen Comey was fired last week. Dan Bongino has clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the transparency of the files. You'll remember a couple weeks ago we mentioned the Attorney General Pam Bondi said she had the list on her desk, then went on to say, no, I was just talking about the overall file that I needed to look through. Then, as Trump hears more things about himself and accusations on him, including from Elon Musk, he starts to bring in all the other things, including releasing the MLK files that no one asked for, including Martin Luther King's family, who posted on Twitter, now released the Epstein files, which was a hilarious burn. Hilarious. They were like, we're not even concerned with our files. We need you to release the real files so that we can lock up these pedophiles that are clearly doing horrendous, horrible, horrible things. Public trust has eroded. 3% approval rating on this issue, which obviously you shouldn't be in support of a pedophile ever. That just would be stupid. Then Ghislaine Maxwell has actually been out of prison for the past couple days to be questioned by the FBI in terms of what has been her knowledge to the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, there are 100 hours of her, or not hours, there are plenty of hours of her being questioned when she was first put into jail, that she knew something was going to come of this. Well, it came out today that she's now asking for a pardon due to all the extra information that she has given. And we don't even know what that information is, but we do know that President Donald Trump has again been trying to distract all of this, saying, why are we worried about these things that are old, but then bringing up Russiagate hoax and Obama from 2016. So you can't be hypocritical about one issue and not the other. Look, whether we actually see the release of these files or not, which we absolutely need to, because again, all of these pedophiles must be prosecuted and punished to the fullest extent of the law and put under the earth, basically. But we also need to know who leading our country could be involved in that. And allegedly by Elon Musk and others who say that President Donald Trump's names are in those files. If allegedly that is to be the case, well, then we would know why President Donald Trump was trying to deflect from the issue. We would also need to know if he was involved in that. Because, and Bill Clinton, if you want to say that. I know some of y'all out there, oh, well, Omar, Bill Clinton flew on the log 26 times to the island. Well, then shit. He needed to be found out too. All of them. As Cat Williams said last year, all lies will be exposed, right? And that's what needs to happen here. And if President Donald Trump is on there with, again, allegations that he is on there, I don't know, but I do know that I have seen him on the news in hundreds of pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm sorry, I was born in the morning, 5:58 in the morning to be exact, but I wasn't born this morning. And if allegations are to be true, I'm sorry, if you're in hundreds of pictures with this person has called you their best friend, you've called him your best friend, and that was for a period of 10 to 15 years, I would assume you knew, at the very least you knew what was going on, and allegedly, possibly even involved. I don't know. I've never seen the files. These are all allegations. But I did a lot of math in my time. I am a mathematician, so to say. And I know that 1 + 1 = 2. And I can tell when something's a little fishy. Something's off here. Something is very, very off here. Shout out Barry L. Castle. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know what tuned you out. You got to tell me later. I saw you were texting me, but I can't read the text while I'm on the thing. But I did know, I saw you say something about ranting. So thank you. I stopped. I don't know which subject that was on. Sometimes I get on my soapbox a little bit. It's okay. That's all right. Anyways, but yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But again, everybody needs to be exposed. And if President Donald Trump allegedly is on that list, then he needs to be exposed as well. All the people that ever did anything wrong within this alleged pedophile ring need to be exposed. And I'm sorry, but when you're trying to avoid something so much, it definitely casts a side eye towards it. So, anyways, we will see what happens there. Moving on into world news. Oh, no, one last news. Elon's America Party. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They're still going on with it. They're actually moving it into the works, and they're trying to build that out now. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on the Elon America Party. Moving on into world news. The Gaza humanitarian crisis has gotten horrible, y'all. Absolutely horrible. Reports have now come out that Hamas is issued to kill hostages, we'll get to that in just a second. That's the next note. Before we get to that, in this humanitarian crisis, there have been 73 Palestinians killed and 150 injured near the Zikim border while seeking food. This is horrible, y'all. These are innocent civilians trying to get food, trying to get aid, that are pepper sprayed, that are being shot, that are being, killed. These are horrible, horrible things that should not be happening. And it has already been horrible enough that they have put a blockade on the food to get to this humanitarian crisis. But now it's even worse that Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, then comes out and says, oh, well, this isn't in our strategy to make this happen. Well, Yeah, it may not be in your strategy, jackhole, but you're still killing innocent people and starving children. And for that, no matter if it's in your strategy or not, it's still blood on your hands that you need to fix. So again, this is just horrible that we're seeing this. They said today that there was aid dropped in by different countries, not Israel, to hopefully be able to get to them. And yes, I know when you look at it from the other side of the aisle, you say, well, God, the Hamas is also stealing aid. Yes, definitely true. That does happen in cases, but that's not all the time. And there are organizations down there handing out aid that are talking about the fact that the Israeli blockade and other things have caused it to get to this point. Now, back to the other news I was talking about. Because Hamas still has Israeli hostages, if Israel attempts a rescue for their hostages, which there's only 20 or less believed to be alive, Hamas has said that they will kill the hostages. This will only serve to inflict and engage this war even further. We cannot have that happen. That is going to make things so much worse. President Donald Trump came out today and said that Netanyahu needs to get his act together because he is saying that it is starvation as well. I appreciate that he came out and said that because 127 people this year have died due to starvation, according to Gaza's health ministry. So prayers up to all of those innocent civilians that are dealing with this humanitarian crisis. Israel and Iran will go back to talks. They were scheduled to go back this past week. I have not heard anything further yet, but they were supposed to resume nuclear talks with UK, France, and Germany in Istanbul on the 25th. Again, I haven't heard anything since that came out, and I don't know if it happened yet since now Trump is out there. Let's talk about that. President Donald Trump and the European Union have come to an agreement on trades and on tariffs after Donald Trump threatened 30% tariffs. They have now come to an agreement, and this agreement will allow them to all put in different amounts, but all put into the defense fund for NATO, and this will also allow for the different levels of tariffs to be set and the different trade machinations and adjustments that are needed to come into play to reduce that deficit between Europe and the United States. So that just came out today that Trump was going to reduce the tariffs to 15% on most goods, including automotives, and that the European Union pledged $750 billion in U.S. energy purchases and $600 billion in U.S. investments. Yay, win, right? As well as $550 billion coming from Japan. Yay, win, right? Hold up. Hey, when there's haters, they be talking too soft. Hold up. Hey, you got to watch out on these. You got to watch out on these. When I read further into that Japan investment, it turns out that a lot of that $550 billion would already be rolled into what they're already paying to us in terms of trade deficit already, the 750 that they, or 650 billion that they provide every year to the United States for those sorts of things. So these blown up figures may just be figures that were already being given to the United States. So we need to wait and see what actually happens with these investments and what that actually means going forward. Now, looking at Russia, Ukraine, last news of the evening here. But obviously, as we were supplying Ukraine with Russia, a new shipment is going to go out, approved by President Donald Trump and the Republicans to support Ukraine, as well as missile systems to Israel to protect from Iran. So now we're giving out a lot of our weapons. But anyways, it came out today. Donald Trump has shortened the Russia ceasefire ultimatum from 50 days to now just 10 to 12 days or 2 weeks, as he is wont to say on everything. We'll see if that happens. his 2 weeks never usually pan out, but he says a failure to comply will prompt new sanctions and secondary tariffs on Russia. Russia has come out and said, as Iran has, that their economy can withstand that. Now, I'll tell you, their economy can withstand a little bit, sure. But if the United States were to kick into full gear all kinds of sanctions on Russia and Iran, they definitely would not be able to keep up with that, and it would decimate their economy in the long run. All right, a couple other news notes here. U.S. and China have emerged in trade talks. U.S. and China are meeting in Sweden ahead of the August 12th deadline to avoid new tariffs. Also, Donald Trump is assisting in the Thailand-Cambodia ceasefire talks. So if you didn't hear about this, another possible border war popping off, as Thailand and Cambodia have had border clashes that have displaced 168,000 people and killed 33. These ceasefire talks are meditated by Donald Trump, ASEAN, and the United Nations. We'll update you on that here coming up in some future weeks. Lastly, a couple other ones. DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, excuse me. That's when I know I need to end the show, once I start stumbling over my words, and we are ending in just a second, the second to last story. Democratic Republic of Congo and the M23, which is considered a terrorist organization in some parts of the world, are coming to a peace agreement being signed in Qatar to end decades of conflict. By August 18th, the conflict has killed over 6 million people in these decades and displaced more than 7 million. So, thank God that hopefully this will be over, as a lot of people have been killed and displaced because of this decade-long war. And in one final note, and this is a crazy turn of events, as President Donald Trump has supported Nicolas Maduro before, but now the United States has designated Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, which is allegedly led by President, and I say that in air quotes because he technically lost the election, but then strong-armed it and manhandled it and took it back. I don't even know how you do that. But anyways, as a terrorist group, intensifying pressure on his regime. So we'll see how much longer he is president, if he's going to be so. That being said, again, I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Shout out. Oh, look at my girl, Naughty Ember. Salute. Oh, look, you tuning in just a little too late, though. But I appreciate you tuning in. You're tuning in right when I'm about to sign off. But I appreciate you tuning in anyways. If you want, everybody, you can go back to YouTube, check out the whole live video. I appreciate you tuning in today. Nice hour-and-a-half show, as I said it would be. But thank you all for tuning into the Professor Semanalmente. I am your host, Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Please make sure you're subscribed at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. There's a handy QR code up there at the top. That link tree will take you to our YouTube, Instagram, so on and so forth. Don't forget, Thursday night we will be back with our Major League Baseball stream, 8 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday. So make sure you tune in for that. It might actually go 8 p.m. Central, because I am kind of enjoying this later time. I have to see how the analytics played out today on today's show. But again, thank you all for everybody for tuning into the Professor's Semanalmente. I am Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Make sure you hit that like button, whether watching now or on the replay. And until Thursday, as always, be blessed. Go out there and succeed. Be kind to each other and spread love the Omar way. Holla. 5,000.
He's with the millions. It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat close. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor.